Live streams are like pre-show banter meets webcast. So it's educational and entertaining, and we're live. And so we're live on Twitch right now. And Serena and Ashley and John are with us. And I'm hosting. My name is Jason Blanchard. And I think my name's on the screen. And they didn't know they were going to be on a live stream. So this is fun for all of us. And BB just showed up. And we're about to find out if his audio is actually working live in real time. And CDRQ, thanks for following. Deb the Deb, thanks for following. And
is it
working? Right. Yes!
Oh,
yes!
How did you get it to work?
I unplugged everything, and then I moved all the cables to different places, and then I got a drink of water.
So this is welcome to IT Arts and Crafts, ladies and gentlemen.
So actually, the system I was intending to use now, we're actually going to connect to that through VNC, and I've got that shared VNC window here because that's where all of the stuff is to make this useful. And so you don't have to watch me just fumble through solving the labs on my own.
So that's the magic. That's the magic right there.
What if the live stream is just you fixing your computer?
But the streaming was the problem. I would have loved to have helped with that. There's a chance it's about this big. There's a chance that the text will actually be big enough that you can read it too. So we might have it.
Jeez, BB, that's fantastic.
Remember, Windows Zoom is your friend, boys and girls. Yeah. The Windows key and plus and minus are your friend.
Does that work on a Mac?
Are you on a Mac?
Windows key.
I'm on a Mac. That's why you can hear the sound of my fan.
You can. They actually have something equivalent on Mac as well. It's under accessibility features. You go down to the gear, go to accessibility features, then you can turn on and turn off.
That's true.
And White Cyberduck, no, this is not Fortnite. This is something other than Fortnite.
We're going questing. We're doing cooler questing.
Yeah. All right. So we got Serena with us. We got Ashley with us. We got BB with us. We got John. John, go ahead and start. What is this? Why are
All right, everybody. So I wanted to take a few moments and just say thank you very much for joining. This is Antisyphon Address Space Layout Randomization. This is the first official address space layout randomization that we're going to be doing. We had technical issues, the last one. And we are sponsored by Black Hills Information Security Operations Center. As I like to say, if you're worried about being hacked, if you're hacked, or if you want to get hacked, contact Black Hills Information Security for all your hacking needs. It is also brought to you by Antisyphon Security Training. We have affordable, kick-ass training, and one of our instructors, BBhacKing, is joining us today, and he teaches the class Modern Web App Pen Testing. Are you going to show off the burp thing that you did for the intruder script today?
I am going to show off the burp thing, and because I love burp, and the thing I love about burp is that you can't fake it with burp. A lot of tools will help you exploit things, and you may have no idea how they're doing it, and you feel successful, but you're really not because you don't know how it worked. And if you know how it worked, then you can apply it different places. So in my class and today, I'm going to show you how to do things so you know what's going on, so you actually learn stuff.
Cool. Baby, I'm going to interrupt you and have you go to the settings tab, change your video to 16:9 and 1080p. Because right now your video quality is a little low. And then while you're waiting, Serena, you're taking BB's class right now because we got to give you something to do right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how's that going?
It's pretty good. Going through the first part at the moment. So a lot of the burp stuff and, just certain settings, little things that are nice to know for screenshotting for reports. So,
Yeah. And Serena's camera and audio equipment and lighting hasn't shown up yet, but we were like, hey, you're here. We're just going to go live. So, and that's
you might as well just bring him up. He wants to be on camera. Bring him up. Put him in your lap. That's what he wants to do. He agrees with me. Cats. He agrees with me. All right.
Yeah.
So I want to set up a little bit while BB's getting set up and Jason's playing with his cat. I want to kind of set up what we just did with the Flash CTF that we have. So I'm going to share my screen really, really quickly. So we've partnered with MetaCTF, and a lot of you all have known this for a while. Huge fans of MetaCTF, Roman and his team, and what they've actually put together over the past few years is pretty amazing. And we are working on these Flash CTFs that are basically really, really, really small CTFs that you can do in like less than a day. That is our goal for this. And Roman set up 3 separate capture the flags for you to solve. And we had a number of people. We had like 250 people play the Flash CTF, which is just like awesome. And we had a huge number of people that actually solved all of the challenges. Some of them you may not have seen. Resnick, I haven't seen him around much. Some of them you see all the time, like Rook. Derek Rook, of course, jumped in, and you've seen his live streams as well. And I went through. White Cyberduck just got it. So congratulations, White Cyberduck, on making it all the way through. So what these problems are, I'm going to go through them very, very quickly, and we'll explain it. And then BB is going to take us through a walkthrough because he knows more about this stuff than I do. So the first one was Botnet Center, which I think is a fun name. And this was solved by 34 teams. It says your coworker, let me zoom in on this. Your coworker really likes this online networking tool for troubleshooting and research. Can you check to see if it's secure as it promises to be? Now, this one is interesting because this shows where the security protections of a website sometime are client side and they don't have those protections server side. And how do you bypass those particular protections as they're in play? And if we look at that website, let's just go up in a new tab. Might be shut down now. Right? I don't know. It's not loading for me. Might be closed off, BB. I might have to contact Roman to kind of get us to do so we can do the walkthrough. So BB, if you want to text him and tell him or email him to turn them back on, because I think he shut everything down, so we can't do the walkthrough. Private, are they working for you?
Yes.
Someone in the chat says still works.
Oh, it's just slow. It's just slow. Okay, good. So this is the NetCenter with Ping Tool, Whodis, NS Scout, NetDigger. And then the other one is the Jamestown Defense Laboratory Document Library. This one really, oops, don't want to give that away. This one really brought back some memories for me because it's looking for an access key. And if you remember, for those of you that are old and have gray beards, back in the day, you would have like a DRM and you would have to provide a license key. And some of the license key solutions that would be in place would be if it's just a prime number lets you in. And this is similar. It's generating access keys to access the full library. But there's a kind of a weird trick in what it's doing to validate the access key associated with it. The final one is probably the more difficult one. This one is actually a SQL injection vulnerability. The Satisfactory Quabalistic Laboratories basically is just an internal website that has a SQL injection vulnerability in it, specifically in the search field, which is always a target of web application pen testers. Anytime you see search, it's one of the first places that you're always going to go for a variety of reasons. It tends to reflect code back. Like if I search for dog, it says search for dog, didn't find any results. So I can put in search, put in script, alert, close script, and try to get cross-site scripting and some other things. But with that, I'm going to stop sharing. And BB, are you ready to start doing a walkthrough?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So let's hand the video off to BB, and I'll just stand here and look pretty. All right, sir, take it away.
I gotta share my window. Which screen? Not this one.
So there's the microphone, the camera, and the share screen button at the bottom of Restream. That'll share your screen.
Yeah.
While we're waiting, Nits3W, thanks for following. Cuddy424, thanks for following. We're up to 366 followers in the last 2 days, and keep the comments coming. It's fantastic to see you all here today. And then
We got the screen share, BB?
Oh, there it is.
I think so.
All right, it's coming up. I see myself. Is that what you want me to see?
No.
No.
No. You can hit it anytime you want.
Yeah, you
Here,
probably.
can we see all right? I know it's a little small.
Oh, yeah, we could see it. It is a little bit small, a little bit pixelated, but you can zoom in.
You're showing us. I think you're showing the wrong screen.
Yep, we see the screen, the Restream screen is what we are seeing, baby.
You shouldn't see that.
Ooh, mistakes were made.
Not right. Let's try. Whoops. So if I want to share my entire screen,
I can start with the first one, BB.
Nope, you're sharing the same thing again, baby.
it's still not there. This says entire screen.
Yeah,
It's
the
Do you
entire
have more than
screen's
one
got-
screen, BB?
no.
Okay.
Oh.
So whenever you share the screen, stop drop the restream, the actual browser, and just go to what you're going to show us.
That's what I thought I did. Let's see. We'll try one more time. Share the screen. I'm going to share entire screen. Allow.
Okay.
Oh, you have to select it.
It says I'm sharing my entire screen now.
Okay. I'm gonna show you.
I'm just not
And
smart.
just close the private chat. Just close the no.
Yeah, I put all my secrets in the private chat, so I don't want to.
We're gonna make sure we share the dirtiest ones.
Oh man, anything else? It's just so hot in here now.
Yeah. The cat went away. So, BB, you have to actually click the share button now because it doesn't look like it.
You gotta
I did.
hold, record, and play at the same time if you want to
No,
record the
too
show.
Too much. Cute
Um,
little boomer moment is what Anytime Chonker just said. And we were
Thanks
just
for
talking
that.
about boomers.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
And I don't know what Stardew Valley is. So, all right. Well, I'm going to get started with the botnet center. So I'll get started with that one while BB is working on sharing his screen. So I'll share out my screen. I'm just going to do it this way. It's infinitely recursive. All right. So if we look at this, the first one is we have this online, the online networking tool. And as I said, this is one of those websites where if I was to go in and try to do command injection directly in it, standard command injection, it's not going to work because it's actually doing some level of validation, but it's doing it all client side. So it's doing it within the actual code that is being sent to the browser. So if I try to do that standard like gibberish semicolon ls semicolon gibberish, and I can walk through what that's actually doing, I'm not really going to get a lot of luck out of that, simply because the browser is basically doing some level of validation of what the input is. And that's kind of one of the themes for many of these different challenges is there's information that's coming from the browser. If you actually look at the code of the browser, that will tell you, or look how the browser's reacting, that'll actually tell you that there's some type of shenanigans going on as far as the protections or something that's being done in the browser to stop you from getting access to things that you really shouldn't get access to. So I'm going to jump over to my handy dandy VM that I use for my class, Intro to Security class. And we have some wonderful capabilities, like I have command history and I've already gone through it. So if you're in a situation where you're trying to access something, right? You're trying to access something and you have client-side filtering, you can make requests directly to the server by stripping away the actual client-side filtering. And any of the JavaScript or any of the protections that would normally be there are now gone. And one of the ways that you can trick and get around that is just simply run curl to try to get access to your resources. So you can actually put in the data where you can put in one value, and then from a command injection, you can split and then execute another. So if we're going through this, let me actually zoom in. If you look at this particular challenge, it basically has things like you need to give it a domain. So if we go back to this tool, you can ping a domain like google.com, right? And you can click go, and it'll ping Google for you. Or I can go, who dis?
Hey John, can you zoom in on your screen?
I sure will. There we go.
Thank you, sir.
And I can put in something like google.com, and I can get who is information from it. Now, if I try to do something with command injection and do like a semicolon or a pipe and try to execute another command, it really doesn't work all that well because there's some type of filtering that's stopping that from going through. But saying, oh, the input must be a valid domain name or an IPv4 address in order for it to work properly. So with this, what we end up doing is bypassing any of the protections that exist on the browser itself And now what we can do is we can actually put that in directly as the data. So you can see we're putting in Google as a value. We're going to allow that to execute, and then we're doing pipe, and then we're going to cat flag txt. Now, sometimes you can use pipe, sometimes you can use semicolon. It really depends on the type of application that you're working with, but really you're going to end up working with a command delimiter or some type of separator for different commands to be executed whenever
John,
you run something like this. Yes.
John, can you take that code real quick and just drop it into the chat here and
Sure, I
restream?
will.
Also,
Sure, well, all of a sudden, all these people are going to be like, "Oh my gosh!"
And
I got a
then
challenge.
CyberChant 2000, thanks for being here. Cafe Show, thanks for following. Bionic Lady, thanks for following. And Captain Bullsh, thanks for following.
All right, I'm going to paste this in right now for you. There you go. We'll see how Restream likes us putting in attack strings inside of the inside of a Restream that then gets kicked out to Twitch and every place else.
Yeah, it's almost like a free pen test.
It's almost like a free pen test.
All right, and BB is working now. So BB,
right.
do you want to bring your screen back up? And
I can
move on?
finish this one out. BB can take the other one.
Okay.
The next one. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
All right. So with that command injection, as I said, if we try to execute that exact same type of thing, let me share my screen in the infinitely recursive and go off into the distance. This is completely bypassing any of the protections that exist within the browser. We're talking directly to the server at this particular point. So now if I zoom in on this and we run it, it comes back and it kicks out the contents of flag.txt and it says MetaCTF, I wonder how many botnets this server is a part of. And if you have this type of protection in place, probably a lot of them. And I'm curious now. I want to see how far we can actually go with this because we have the answer, right? But can we do more things? Like I can cat out, flag 1, right? Or I can kick out something like Etsy password. Will it allow me to kick out Etsy shadow? Nope, didn't. So that's showing me different permissions that I have. But that command injection, if you're wondering, that's how we get to the solution. But we can do things like, list out directories. So I just ran ls, the top level directory, and you can see I'm executing commands directly against that server. And you can see bin, boot, dev, Etsy, flag.txt. We see that the flag exists there, and then we can run the command to actually cat out that particular flag. We can cat out the flag, not Etsy shadow. And there is the flag. Some of the other things I like to do is just do a straight ls in the directories, and you can see we got api.js, api.php. The flag also exists here, and then index.php. And also with this, there's a big difference between like trying to, see the code that's being sent to your browser versus actually seeing the raw code. So you can actually get some value many times by just doing things like, let's say, cat out api.js or whatever different code bases that you want to look at there as well. So the point of all of this is you have a command injection vulnerability, but the way that it's actually structured does not allow me to actually run that command injection vulnerability directly in the browser itself. I can run it by bypassing the browser protections and actually executing it directly against the server and get those commands that actually come back. Now, many of the automated tools that you use will do these types of checks. Many times it's not super exhaustive. You can actually do some like hand testing as well to play with it. So with that, I just did the first one, the bot NetCenter, which is, I think, the easiest one. BB, are you ready to take over, sir?
I am.
All right.
Oh, family talking.
All right. We got it now?
We got cats. We got, all right. All right, Jason, can you kick it over to Mr. King? There we go.
All right. Is it working now? Do you see
It is working.
Fantastic.
Hooray!
Fantastic. All right. So that was the, I put that one in the category of bypassing client-side controls, what John just showed us there. So client-side controls are great for convenience and for speed and all that kind of stuff, but they're not a security control. So you're always looking for those, always looking to bypass those things. So this next one is we're trying to get some documents that are behind this access key. We have to log in to get that certain documents. So the first thing you might do is see how it shows you these documents that are not behind that login. And one thing I like to do in Burp Suite to keep track of where I am is I send a request through here. I'm just going to mark the top one with the purple. Just that's where I was. So whatever happens next is going to be above that purple line there. So let's look at this paper here, and let's see what we get. We get a beautiful PDF, and we can say retrieve.php question mark p equals, and there's something up here.
BB, can you zoom in a little?
On this, not really.
Okay.
I will. I'll show you though in Burp. It'll be better there.
Okay.
So remember, I highlighted this before I did anything, and I obviously sent a request, and I got a response, but there's nothing showing in here. Why is that? Well, in Burp, by default, it doesn't show you binary content because usually you don't care about, well, usually it's hard to mess with binary content. So if I turn binary content back on and apply that, now I can see one more request. And here's the URL it went to. So /retrieve.php, p equals this file name, looks like a file name. And the response is a PDF file. I love Repeater for all of these kinds of things. And my hack for Repeater is I'll send a request from the proxy history into Repeater. And then when I'm in Repeater, I'll send it again to make sure that it still works. There are lots of requests that are only good one time. There are some attacks and some defenses against attacks that prevent you from sending the same request twice. Well, no, you can always send it twice. It prevents the server from processing it twice. So by sending it again unmodified, I'm making sure that if it fails next time, it's because of what I did, not because of something the server is doing. So we have a file name here. So what if we looked for just a different file name? Maybe there's one called file.pdf. No. But we got a good error message here. File size, stat failed for, yeah.
And BB, I just wanted to jump in. Like when you're testing, like it isn't just about, getting in, finding a vulnerability. These error messages and getting different error messages is absolutely essential, isn't it?
It is. It's critical. And it's a thing that takes some self-control sometimes. You got to take small steps. I'm not jumping straight to trying to retrieve another file that I know is there. I'm just trying to figure out how the servers work. So I'm taking step by step to see what information the server is going to give me to help me craft attacks down the road. So in this case, I get this, it says it's a PDF. Content type says PDF, but it's not PDF. It says stat failed for /file/file.pdf in this place on this line. So it's telling me there's a directory called files. And that's where that other file I just looked for that worked. That's where that file was. So if I go back, there's back and forward buttons here. And if I see if this is going to work, a directory traversal, if I look in the parent directory /files/ was it files? This should take me back to where I was initially. So the response here, if I have a directory traversal here, is going to give me that same PDF file. And it did. So that's working out. That's pretty nice. Where do we go after this one? We're looking for, what are we looking for again? I got lost. We are for
BB,
we'll get the
what you're
content
trying to do,
that's
you're
right.
trying to get to the index.php.
Right, we want to get the content,
the actual code. Yep.
Yeah. So the URL here, it's a PHP document, a PHP application. So if I do index.php and leave my space there, nope, /files index.php, because that's looking in the files directory. But remember, I can back out / index.php. And now I've got something different. Now, this is what John was talking about before in the other one. This is the PHP that is the code that would run if the web server was delivering this file normally.
And this goes back to like source code, right?
Yeah.
Not what's being sent to your browser, which what will get you arrested in Missouri or Mississippi, where you hit F12 to see the source code.
Right.
But the raw source code, just like I did in the last one, getting that source code is so critical to learn what the app is doing.
Yes. Yes, I thought that was ironic because Missouri is the show me state, and Missouri was the place that said you could.
Oh my
Oh
goodness.
my God. Wow. Wow.
Is there any chance you can zoom in on what you're doing here, BB, or is that not a function?
I can do this and this and find repeater again. There we go. So here's the
Oh,
PHP.
that's better. Yeah, that's nice.
And yeah, it's VNC. It was fine before. So here we're checking the password. We're looking at the input form. We're looking for the login. And if the login input key matches this regular expression, then we get logged in. So it's not looking for a specific key. It's looking for a key that matches a particular regular expression. And that is this right here. So let's copy this. We're going to just copy that. And then we're going to go into one of my favorite tools ever, which is CyberChef.
You can bignify this one too.
Yes.
There we go.
And I'm going to look for the regular expression.
Also, BB, you gave a fantastic webcast on CyberChef, and people should look it up if they haven't watched it.
I love CyberChef. Every time
I
use
love
it,
the fact that Roman and the MetaCTF team, they like give you a link to CyberChef like right in the UI.
it's almost cheating.
It is almost cheating.
Most of this is cheating, right? So the way this recipe works, the way CyberChef works is you have your input here, and then you have a recipe, and then you get your output over here. And here's the regular expression. The slash at the beginning at the end, that's just part of how PHP defines the beginning and end of a regular expression. So this is the actual thing here. And if this is at all interesting to you, Joff has a 4-hour Pay What You Can class about regular expressions that you will love it. If this is at all interesting to you, you're going to love that class. So we're going to try to make something that matches this regular expression. So /D matches a digit. And this 4 in braces here means there needs to be 4 of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4. The next thing we have parentheses here, and these are grouping parentheses. And what this says is we need a hyphen followed by any capital letter or a digit, and then we need that 4 times. So dash 1, 2, 3, 4 dash 1, 2, 3, 4 dash 1, 2, 3, 4 3 times, and then we have another dash, and then we have another capturing parentheses, and now we need 2 capital letters. And if I did that right, it would highlight the match here. Let's see. This is the capture group, so I did it wrong. Somehow I did it wrong.
No, it's not dash and then 2. It's just it's basically it's either 2 letters and then 2 more letters actually. So it's 4. The last one would have, I believe, 4 total. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4 digits. Then you would have 1, 2, 3, 4 like letters. 1, 2, 3, 4 letters. 1, 2, 3, 4 letters, and then actually 1, 2, 3, 4 more letters. It's just that last one is broken up for whatever reason into 2.
1, 2.
This always reminds me of people who do this for a living every single day, still at times like,
oh,
wait, what?
dude,
Yeah.
the only person I've ever seen that can do this and like just nail it immediately is John.
Right.
You know, his is just amazing.
So there we go. Right. So this is capturing 2 capital letters and doing them twice. Why is it different there? I don't know. Developers.
But I actually think that that's a good thing. I mean, from a learning perspective, as kind of a throw off, because you have like the ability to say that you can do 4 characters, but then to do that last one where it's 2 characters and then 2 more without a hyphen is kind of a little bit of like a mind screw. You know what I mean?
It is.
It got start thinking about it being different.
Right.
Don't skin Jason. No one's going to skin any cats today. Jeez. Got dark quick. All right.
So we got a thing that's going to pass the regular expression match, we think. So now we try to log in, and now we're logged in, and we got our flag. So another client-side control. Every once in a while, we still see these. We'll still see inputs that are validated on the client side and make decisions based only on what's happening on the client, which is always a little dangerous, always a little sketchy.
And we don't see it. Correct me if I'm wrong. We don't see it that much in the form of a password, but we see it a lot for like what directories are available, or like directory
Yes.
brute forcing, what resources you can access, what's grayed out, what's not grayed out. You know, like a lot of times a website it won't let you go through unless you fill out like a credit card correctly and it's grayed out, or it won't let you proceed through the website. So you'll see those types of controls and you can bypass them using
Right.
these types.
Yep. Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen it actually be authentication in a real application, but it's cool for CTFs.
Actually, you know, it's funny that you mentioned like this particular one, where it's a library and you have a key. This actually I have seen in a actual document library. Almost this exact same thing, which is weird because I don't think this was written by anybody at BHIS. It may have been. I'm not sure. But we did test a library system about, I would say, 8 years ago, where you had to provide a key, and different schools would get keys that you could use. And it was similar to this, where the keys matched a specific pattern and you could gain access to it.
Yep. Yep. I believe it.
All right. Boot Boy, thanks for following. Must Be Hex. Thanks for following. Rolex. Thanks for following. Do we have one more challenge?
Yes, we do actually have one more challenge. And I like it when people follow just so I can hear Jason attempt to like pronounce it.
It's a particular skill I have to be bad at this.
It is quite a skill.
Yeah.
Now the last one, so BB, I felt like the difficulty curve really spiked on this last one.
It did. It shot up. This is not just 100 points harder than the other ones. This is way harder.
Yeah. So this one spiked up quite a bit. And this one, well, okay. So this is one, while you're getting it ready, BB, when we're doing pen tests, like we would find the SQL injection, and a lot of times you're done, right? You're busy, you're running through validating a ton of different vulnerabilities. This one is interesting because it isn't just an issue of find SQL injection. It actually forces you to take it a bit further and kind of come to grips with some of the limitations on how the data can come back. Do you feel like a lot of pen testers would go as far as trying to like pull the data, or do you think they would just say SQL injection and then move on? And Ashley and Serena, you leave this question to you too. Well, BB's
I think it's a good way to find out what path somebody came to pen testing. The way they handle that, I think, indicates where they came from. And if they came from a network pen testing background, where you're trying to move all around the network and steal stuff and get domain admin and all that kind of stuff, then yes, that person is going to go and try to exploit that and try to pull data down and do as much damage as they can. If you come from a development side, you might stop at proving that SQL injection exists, because if you're testing for developers, then you're not trying to exploit the whole network. You're trying to make their application more. So once you've identified, here's the part of the code that's bad, and here's the way in which it
then
is
you're
bad,
done.
You're done.
Right.
Right. So it depends on where you came from and really just how excited you are about it when you find it.
Well, and this is one of those things why I think it's so important to kind of have a diverse team, to have like a web app side. You find something, you throw it over to the network folks, and they're like, you know what you need? You need hashes. Hand those over to the network side. So with that, I'll hand it over to you. Let's do the walkthrough.
All right. So this one, you would look in the login page for the username and the password for SQL injection, but we don't find it there. This one turns out to be in the search. So if you search, the easiest way to look for SQL injection is you just put in special characters that mean something for SQL. So SQL injection is you're taking this text that is meant to be text, and you're checking to see whether the application handles it as SQL code or not. And when you're passing a string along, the string is going to be delimited with single quotes, double quotes.
Can you increase the font on this page real quick so we can see what you're typing?
And Bignify.
Yes.
Bignify.
There. Now it's so big I can't even see.
Perfect.
Perfect. Sorry. Thank you.
Oh, that's just the best.
So if this is being treated as a string, it might have single quotes around it. So if I add another one and the application doesn't handle it well, it's going to break the query, and I'm going to get an error message.
So we had Nits3W said, I somehow managed to get into this one with time-based SQL injection and SQL map. That's weird.
Wow.
The time-based, SQL map works well on this one, but the time-based, that's interesting. Oh, look, it's an error.
Look. So what does this tell us? This tells us that, yes, it is a string. It is delimited with single quotes. And in the query before what I put in, we have select star from equipment or item name like quote wildcard. And after what I put in, we have another wildcard and an end quote. And we're also using SQLite 3, SQLite 3. So that tells you what the database is and it tells you what the query looks like. Now, if
and that really matters because your syntax is going to be different, right?
Yes,
and your default pages are going to be different. Okay, cool.
Right. The default page, the comment characters are different. The way you quote things are different. The stored procedures and things like that. Getting information about the database is different for different database types. So it's important. It's super helpful if you can figure out what the database engine is. Now, if you're fortunate enough to get the error message with the query in it, you're golden. It's going to be easy from here on out. If you're not, then you need to figure out what the query might look like. Make a guess. Make a guess what the query might look like and where your input might be. And then the best advice I ever got for pen testing web apps is write it down. Take what you think the query is and put it in a file. Otherwise, you're going to be repeating yourself.
Well, and this is one of those situations where a lot of times, like if you look at your search parameter, folks, go back to BB's screen. If you look at the search parameter, notice how small that input box is, right? That thing's teeny. So, if you write it down in like Notepad or like I don't know if you're using gedit or what you're using there, Notepad++, it makes it so much easier to work in than trying to just work within the little box that they gave you. So
you'll forget, and you're messing around with delimiters and encoding, and it's too hard for a human to remember exactly what everything happened. So this is what the query looks like. And now I'm going to try to come up with stuff to put right here between the two parentheses that's going to give me a different result.
And you're really just building on the existing query that's in there, right, BB? Like
right.
You're not like the select star from equipment. That it literally gave that to you. You're going to take what it gives you.
Right. Yes. Take what I get. Take what I can get. So in between that, those two wildcards, I'm going to put this. I'm going to put just a string to have in there, close the quote, and union. I'm going to select star from SQLite master, which is the table in SQLite that tells me more about the database. I'm going to use a semicolon to end that statement, and then a space dash dash to comment out the rest of it. So the query that's actually going to run is going to be this. It would have this at the end, but it gets ignored because of the comments, which is awesome. So if I copy this and paste it in here, and search, and then I scroll down, now you can see I have tables. There's a table called equipment. There's a table called users. There's a table called equipment. There's a table called SQLite sequence. And these other things they're just not working out because they're not supposed to. We're messing with the query, making it do different things than it should have. So we're going to get some stuff here that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But knowing the way SQLite master is laid out, we know there's a users table.
And I'm going to just kind of point out that this challenge is really nice because the number of columns lines up nicely.
Yeah.
And one of the things I like to do, and I know that you're a fan of it because you teach a class on it, is running burp back and forth because sometimes the results may not show up in the browser itself. It may be in the data that's being sent and it's just not rendering properly. So keeping an interception proxy going all the time is absolutely essential.
Yes, it is. This one happens to work out pretty well just through the UI. So now I'm going to get the table schema. I want to know what that users table looks like because I can't log into this, right? And I'm trying to log in as somebody so I can get my test tubes. I think it was test tubes. So these keywords here, root page, table name, SQL, these are things that are in the SQLite master table. SQL is the command that you would type out to create that table. So it's going to contain the column names and we want those because we want to see if we can get somebody's password out of this. So if I paste that one in, now here's the users table and CREA. This is where it starts to get very difficult. This challenge just got harder. So this number is masked. The response here, the server is getting whatever is actually in this column, and it's only showing you the beginning and the end of it. I need the whole thing. And I can't control that. So we need to get that in pieces. So now we need to look at different options that we have in SQLite to get substrings. So we're going to select all these things, but a substring of the SQL column, just the first 4 characters, starting at character 1, which is the first one. It's not 0-based, it's 1-based. And we want 4 characters because that's where the masking starts. And then we want the next 4 characters, and then the next 4 characters. So we could do this. So CREA, and let's run this next one here.
Now, I just want to point out, I have never seen this in a web application pen test in any of the reports I've ever looked at from BHIS. This, to be perfectly honest with y'all, is just Roman being mean. As near as I can tell, it's just Roman being mean at this point to kind of break this particular stuff up. But it's forcing you to get an idea of how, not just like SQL injection, smash and grab, but it's forcing you to look at it like, how do you actually get to know SQLite in such a way to do something like a substring search? Here we go. There it is.
REA.
But it's just the one.
Right. And so next we want starting at 5, starting after CREA. And I'm only going to make you look at one more of these, and then we'll speed up. CREA, TE space T, create to probably table, right? Create table. So now we kind of know what's going on. Let's look at in Burp, because like John said, some of the stuff shows up in there better. So proxy history. So the last one, we got, let's go for one before, because I remember CREA better. I'm going to look for, in the response, I'm going to look for CREA. And here it is, CREA, users CREA. And I'm doing this here because there's a bug in the version of Burp Suite that I'm using. And I'm going to just select the text that shows up before that, right before that. I'm going to copy that because I'm going to need it. And then I'm going to send this to Intruder. And in my query, I'm going to set one payload place.
Now, what is Intruder? What do you use Intruder for? Here, like, what is it?
Intruder,
because for a lot of people, like, well, Intruder, that's the one that lets me hack, and it's like, oh no, that's not. Yeah, no. What is Intruder used for?
Intruder is so if repeater is a way to send a request again and make a change to the request and send it again and see how the server handles those differences. Intruder is a way to automate that. So you can put in these payload positions, insertion points, and then you give it a list of payloads, and however many payloads you have, it'll send that many requests cycling through the payloads and keeping track of everything for you, so you can see the different responses to all those different requests. So instead of doing it manually one by one, you can do it in big batches.
And that's kind of what SQL Map does a little bit, right? Like when SQL Map is going through and trying to brute force things, it tends to do things in chunks.
Yes. So this is the bug is. The bug is in the rendering here. So I can't do much in this screen here. But you see it's substring, parentheses, SQL, 1 from 1 to 4, right? This is an %2c is encoded, %2c is encoded. So we're starting at position 1, we're getting 4 characters. And then next I'm going to start at position 5 and get 4 characters. And then 9 and get 4 characters. So my payloads are going to be numbers from 1 to, I'm just guessing a high number here, 130, every 4 steps. And then here's one of the cool things that Intruder will do for you is it can extract information from the responses. So if I say starting at TD users and closing that TD, and then get me the next 4 characters, this is going to pull out CREA and then TE space T, right?
You're literally having it step forward by 4, right? Just kind of walking through, stepping through piece by piece by piece. Because doing it by hand sucks.
Doing it by hand sucks, right? And then this ruler pulls out the results for you. So if I start this, and this is the version of Burp, but you can, so it'll be throttled, it'll be slowed down here. But you can see.
This is cool because people can do this at home. Like there's nothing you're doing here that's like, oh, you got to go pay for Burp on this.
Right, right. So here, create table.
Look, it's putting it together.
User ID, integer, primary key, ascend, auto increment, unique. Then username. Username is a string, 20 characters long. And then name is a string. And then MD5. hash, MD5 hash. That's probably the password, right? And that's a string. And now we're getting into HTML here. So now you know you've gotten to the end of that, the end of what that command was going to look like. So this has told us that there's a column called MD5 in the users table. So now what? Okay, so we have saved ourselves from doing all of this by hand. Now we want to get the MD user. So now we're going to select from the users table enough columns, like John was saying before, so that we number of columns the application is expecting. And we want the hash to be one of those. So if I copy this and go back to the search, it's handy that this search field isn't limited in how many characters you can type in there. It makes it really nice for teaching. So now we have, so an item type, right? There's a syringe, there's a microscope. There's probably not a Weasel 473 type, right? We're joining things, we're doing that union. So we're getting 2 results instead of just 1. So every other row here is a user from the users table. And so Weasel's MD5 starts with 6124 and it ends with 4DB6. How long is MD5 hash? 40? Is it 40 characters? This is going to be a lot of work to get all that stuff out, right? So we could get it in pieces again. We could do the same thing. We could say just the first 4, and then the next 4, and then the next 4, and we could keep going until we got to the end of the hash. Or we could use,
it looks like a lot of people. It looks like a lot of people did just that too. So
yeah, well, that's the easy kind of straightforward way of doing it. It just gets tedious, right? So this enter had the new query. So we're looking for the username and the MD5 hash starting at position 1. And for the payloads, we're going to increment from 1 to 40. And we're going to go with every 4th one. And then we're going to be extracting with the options. We're going to be extracting those 4 carefully. And if we run this, we get 624, D987, 4936, 5E3D, and then we're at the end of the hash. So now we get the password hash. We're getting there. This one is, you got to be dedicated for this one. So now, what do you do with a hash?
This one would have messed up people. I just want to call out at this point, this is another MetaCTF thing where if you had a hash and you dropped this particular hash in, let's say, a password cracker to brute force it with your awesome dictionary, you're waiting till the heat death of the universe, just to be honest with you. This is not, I don't think this password is crackable directly for brute force, but I could be wrong someday. So where did you find the hash, BB?
I found the hash on the internet.
You just Googled it?
Yes.
Brute force heat death of the universe, and you just Googled it? Oh,
yeah, I didn't want to interrupt you, John. So yeah, so it's there it is. MD5 of the word oxygen is that hash.
Yep.
And so now, and it is Weasel 473. So now what if we go back to boy, we were writing this more than I thought it was.
I think you've done a lot of bad things to this page. The hardest part of being a web app security tester is going through your history.
Here we go. Weasel 473 and OXYGEN. Help.
It is.
Jimmy needs some help. So my goodness, all the steps that took, right? So there are multiple ways you could address those other steps. And this is a fantastic CTF challenge that is unlikely to show up this way in a real application. When I started doing these things, I got really frustrated. I hated CTFs for the longest time because they were fake and contrived, and it wasn't the same as a pen test. And at some point I realized that it wasn't the same as a pen test. Wait a minute. I should stop wanting it to be like a pen test and just make it a chance to practice things. And that's what this is. It's a chance to practice. So different ways to automate this. I used Intruder. You could write a Python script. You could write a Golang script. You could write, I don't know, a shell script. You could write it in
Perl?
VBA from Word. Perl?
Perl, anybody?
Yes. Perl is always a good option.
We're talking about boomer generation pen testers.
Perl is awesome. Perl gets a bad rap.
It does. It does. It really does.
Maybe deservedly so.
Hey, John, how many people have solved all three?
Oh, so if I was to go to the scoreboard, let me refresh
Because
it.
holy cow, yeah, the third one is definitely a lot more difficult.
Wasn't that rough?
24 people made it all the way through.
Well, congratulations to those
That is
24 people.
24
That's-
people. They went all the way through. So
Well done.
that's 10%, and that's not bad in 24 hours. Like they really went through it. So I'd like to open it up. Like we went a little bit long, and that's fine. I'd like to spend like the last 10 minutes. Does anybody have any questions for BB? And we also have Ashley is here and Serena's here. We've got people who will answer your questions who are not.
Yeah, and I'll just say, hey, Sather3R, thanks for following. Flippy125, thanks for an easy username.
Thanks,
for following.
Flippy.
Sundhog92, thanks for following. And Vengeful Saint, that one was easy. Thank you.
I think they're messing with Jason now. They're trying to come up with the most unpronounceable. We're going to have people that are like, from the Tlingit tribe up in Juneau, Alaska, putting in their names. And, Boris Seamuanatafa is going to be on, and you're going to have to pronounce that.
Someone asked how much faster the paid version of Burp is. I don't know if there's a speed difference, but obviously features are way different.
The speed difference comes in Intruder. And in the community version of Burp Suite, there's an exponential back off every time it pauses between requests and every time it waits twice as long. So in the community version, and it's intentionally a throttle so that they encourage you to buy. But you saw we did what 30 or 40 requests, and it was tolerable. So for CTFs and for things like that, the community version is great. The other big difference is the community version doesn't have a vulnerability scanner built into it.
White Cyber Duck just asked, now, can you do it with Zap? I'm like, oh man, he's just messing with you. I know you can.
Painful.
You can do it with Zap. You absolutely can.
Zap would work as well. Yep.
So we get the speed one, TCP congestion flashbacks. You're old, Elias, because I remember that. Actually, you still see that whenever you try to pen test down a VPN, which you should just don't do that, please. All right. What else do we got? Cracking passwords. So my whole joke on cracking passwords was basically don't make things harder than they need to be. That's something I really want to stress, especially with the first two challenges, is many times when people are testing and doing assessments, especially in CTFs, there's a bunch of people like, this was easier than I thought it was. Yes, it almost always is. And password cracking is a lot like that. Like you have this amazing set of filters that you're going to run in Hashcat, and you're going to do it. And sometimes it's already been cracked and it's online. So don't make things harder than they need to be. I'm cracking a joke on password cracking. That's right. I've got a password cracking joke dealing with, how it takes the hash and it stores it in the pot file in John the Ripper.
Right.
And then White Cyberduck, hey Serena, are you a pen tester now? Congrats.
Yep, I am.
I see her, and I'll get the sword out and everything. You're like, rise, Serena, and welcome to the pen testing community.
Yeah. And Serena, I think you have to leave, so if you want to head out now.
Thank you so much for hanging out.
Thanks, everyone.
We'll see you soon.
Bye.
JKL says, what's your methodology? How would you approach number 3 using SQL map?
Using SQL map, I would I would still be looking for the injectable place to begin with, and then that is in this one it's a get request, so it's just on the query string. So I would feed SQL map that URL with the asterisk next to the parameter name to say this is the one to try to inject, and I just let it go and see what it does.
Will there be any more live web app pen testing courses? Yes. So the whole purpose of address-based layout randomization is whatever we want it to be. So the dry run that we did yesterday was network forensics. We also have cats that show up randomly on the show. BB did this one, kind of talking about this is the type of stuff he covers in his modern web app pen testing class. And the other one is Vortex of Free Consulting, where people just come in and they just ask questions. There's all kinds of fun things that we're going to be doing with this, but we really want them to be very technical focused is where we're going to be headed with this. So I might come in and teach a section of my cyber deception class on how to set something up. That's cool.
There also might be a live stream later on in the year that talks about how to find a job.
Ooh, that would be cool. I thought, wait, you're bringing that out of retirement? Are your live streams like the Motley Crew of InfoSec live streams? Like, we're retiring, we're done. 2 years later, it's like, all right, girls. Like, these guys are 90.
So Banjo Crashland definitely did retire his channel, but coming back as an Antisyphon live stream makes a lot of sense.
Nice.
So.
Nice. Yeah, the other, it's not quite a live stream, but the class, the Modern Web App Pen Testing class, it's back on the calendar for, I think it's June or July, and then also at Wild West Hackin' Fest in Deadwood.
And the class is on demand. Yeah.
Oh,
We can do
John,
that in September.
John, you got a request too for cyber deception stuff.
So next week, Tuesday, do you want me to do some cyber deception stuff?
Cyber deception, John.
Your cyber deception stuff is on point. I will say, I've taken that class.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're not just saying that because you work for me, right? I mean, they like me, folks. They really like me.
No, but I'm serious. It was awesome.
Susie, come here real quick. So my daughter was yelling for me upstairs while BB, you were solving. Just hand this to me. You don't have to. She's like yelling, and she's like, "I need paper towels. I need paper towels."
That's blood?
I spilled a whole medium coffee.
Oh, it's a whole medium coffee.
On my textbook
On
and
her-
on my computer.
Oh, jeez.
Wow.
You've got issues that you've got to deal with, right?
I do. So thank you all for joining us today. This was the first official Antisyphon live stream where we stream to Twitch and our new YouTube channel. And it's like a mix between pre-show banter and a webcast comes together where we're more interactive with you all because this is more fun. This is more fun than some of the other stuff. So.
This was fun. I like that. This was good.
I think we'll get better over time.
Oh, there's going to be like overlays and screens. And then if people follow, it's going to be like, thank you.
Especially when
I like
when
that it
Ryan
wasn't
comes
just a
back.
bunch of. I like that it wasn't just a bunch of slides and somebody talking about slides.
Yeah, I think we're gonna. I don't think we're gonna do slides on this. Maybe we should have a no slides rule for address-based layout randomization.
No slides rule, for
Maybe.
sure.
No slides rule. No slides rule.
I like
Slides rule period for the channel.
Yeah. Well, for the
Yes.
Twitch, and yes, I think that's a good idea.
Yes.
Where do you get Burp Tool? Do a search for Burp Suite.
Yeah, and-
Swigger is the website, and yes, that's the actual name. More cats.
Anything else, John, before we wrap up?
Nah, let's kill it. Let's kill it. Thank you so much, everybody. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
And thanks to everyone for following. Let's see if there's any people. Delta, thanks for following. Geyer, thanks for following. And if you haven't followed yet, make sure you do. If you watch the recording, then follow and watch so that you get notified for the live streams in the future. All right, I'm gonna kill it.
Subscribe.
Like and subscribe. All right, I'm gonna hit end stream. End stream.